What's going on with the new NFL 2K game that's supposed to be dropping in a few months? As many of you know, about a year and a half ago, the NFL and 2K struck a deal to release NFL licensed video games once again. The NFL and 2K were and are finally back in business together. It hasn't been since 2004 that we've had an NFL licensed game besides EA's Madden franchise, so this news was a huge shock but also much welcomed. It was said that 2K would be releasing not one, but multiple NFL licensed arcade style games, as EA does still have the exclusive rights to make NFL simulation games. But 2K ensured us that the games they would eventually deliver would have the same level of depth and authenticity that we've come to expect from them over the years. And while they'll surely release a game or two that's much more geared towards kids, there's definitely some wiggle room in there for something that blurs the lines a little bit between arcade and simulation for the older crowd. Now, we actually just got a bit of news not too long ago about one of these upcoming NFL 2K games, funny enough, but more on that a little bit later in the video. Right now, let's focus on the game that is supposed to be dropping in a couple of months that we have yet to really hear much about, but really this game was supposed to drop last year for the 2021 NFL season before eventually getting pushed back. We're gonna dive much deeper into this, but really quickly, here's a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon. Now, for those of you that don't know, Raycon is a company that was co-founded by Ray J with the goal of delivering premium quality earbuds at half the cost of other premium audio brands. Now, I've got the fitness earbuds in right now, and what makes them great is their unique earbud build, their interchangeable gel tips, and new ear stabilizers, which create 3 levels of personalization. These stabilizers right here are great. You can wrap them around the earbud, and it just makes them even more secure in your ear. But that's really my favorite part of Raycon, is how secure they are, even just right out the box for me. I can shake, and they just will not fall out. You also get 54 hours of battery life, 45 hours in the capsule, and 9 hours of playtime. Another thing I love is you can just hold your finger over the left earbud for 3 seconds and you can change between 3 different sound profiles: pure sound, balanced sound, and my personal favorite, bass sound. They also offer noise isolation, which helps you block out the outside noise. Hold your right finger over the right earbud and you can turn this on or off. If you need more awareness, you can hold this down and turn on awareness mode. This allows you to still listen to your music but still be aware of your surroundings. And if you want to block stuff back out, you just hold it down for 3 seconds again, and now you're back to noise isolation. Now's the perfect time to pick up a pair, because right now you can get $20 off Raycon's fitness earbuds at buyraycon.com/Rayweather, and to make this deal even sweeter, my viewers get an additional 15% off. This is a limited offer, so make sure to get in now before it's gone. So the NFL 2K game that was supposed to be the first big game back was originally supposed to drop last year around the same time that Madden 22 released for the 2021 NFL season. But around the spring of 2021, 2K told the NFL that the game simply wouldn't be ready for the start of the 2021 NFL season, and that it would be possible to do a launch during the holiday season, which would have been sometime likely around November or December of 2021. But the problem here was the NFL just simply didn't like the idea of releasing a game that late into the football season, especially not the first NFL game besides Madden in over 15 years. They felt that this game needed to release alongside the start of the NFL season to capture the full hype and marketing potential. The NFL didn't think that they would be able to properly build hype and market the game in the middle of a football season. A lot of casual gamers stopped playing Madden at the end of the NFL season each year, so to expect them to pick up a new game as the season was nearing its end just didn't make sense to the NFL. And that's the main market they are going after with an arcade style game, the casual mass audience. They're trying to grow the NFL brand and expand it to a younger audience. The NFL knows it has a problem with their audience age, and they're actively trying to get younger and younger each year, and these new arcade games are one of the ways they're attempting to do that. This is a big reason why 2K is back in the picture to produce these arcade style games in the first place with the NFL. So for the NFL, if they can't launch the game at the start of the NFL season, they'd rather it be pushed back, even though they didn't like the idea of actually having to do that. And for 2K, if they can't launch a game that they feel is ready, they too would rather push it back. So they eventually came to the agreement to delay the game until 2022, which is where we stand right now. Now it's almost July and we still haven't heard a word about the latest NFL 2K game. Not a single peep, not a leak, I mean literally nothing. It's been close to the vest, it's been very quiet, and a lot of people are starting to speculate that perhaps the game will be further delayed because it just doesn't make sense that we haven't heard anything about it yet. With EA full on promoting the next Madden release already, it would seem as though if 2K was dropping this year, it would be about the time to start saying something, even if it was just a little teaser picture or something to simply let us know that it's still happening. Now, if you're a current day 2K fan, you know that this isn't necessarily something to worry about just yet. When it comes to their other games, they are known for being pretty last minute with information these days. NBA 2K fans are usually left in the dark until a month before the game drops at best. But I will say, with this being the first NFL game in so long, and it being such an important, highly anticipated release, I would think they'd want to get information out as early as possible. But I also believe that the NFL maybe wouldn't want both games releasing right at the exact same time anyway, and promoting so heavily at the same time, because their goal at the end of the day is for both of these games to sell very well and be successful. Now, we all know that the hardcore football community is probably going to support this game, even if you're not the biggest fan of arcade games, simply because you're happy to see some type of a competitor and you're happy to see 2K back. But in the eyes of the NFL, they probably want to do this very strategically, and they want to make sure that they do the best they can to capture both of these different markets and not have them overlapping maybe too much. So perhaps 2K could be positioned to drop their game slightly after Madden does, because there's still that window of a few weeks between Madden's release and the start of the NFL regular season. So while I am worried about the game being further delayed, I also think that we have at least a month or so to potentially hear something from 2K before we get too worried. And I would like to think that if the game was going to be delayed again, they would have announced that by now, just like they did in the spring of last year. They didn't wait until the summer to say something. They got out in front of it pretty early and said, look, don't expect this year because we know it's just simply not going to be ready yet, and we want to make the best quality game possible. And knowing how the NFL is, I just can't imagine that they would be okay with the game being delayed once again. They want this thing in the market this year. They were already not happy with it not being ready for last season, so I just can't see them being okay with having to push it back yet another year. It's also been said that 2K was really ramping up production a few months back for this NFL game. They were bringing on more people, and they were really kind of gearing up to get ready to release this game, so that is a good sign that the game is indeed near. But here's the interesting news we got not too long ago. 2K also announced that they have now partnered with Lego to release a series of Lego sports games, and yes, one of them will be an NFL game. Now, don't get up in arms just yet, because I don't believe this is their big release that they've been planning for the last 2 years, because to be honest, like I just said, this info just was made available. This deal was just struck not too long ago, so this one kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. I think this is going to be just another game in the portfolio, definitely one of the ones that's more aimed towards the children. I don't think this is the main release they're working on, but some people heard this news and started getting a little worried that this is what we've been waiting for 2 years. The fact is, 2K wants to expand their brand to younger audiences, and they want to expand their brands into different types of games. They want to make more arcade style experiences. So for them, partnering with Lego to not only make an NFL game, but I believe they're going to be making soccer and other sports as well, that makes sense for them. That's just kind of another IP for them to go after. That's just another place for them to brand. But in terms of the NFL and some of the games that they have planned with the actual NFL, while this might technically now be one of them, I don't think these are any of the main ones that they were initially going to be putting out when the deal was first announced. It's just something worth mentioning because this is one of the games they are actively working on. There's still potential for them to probably do some type of a mobile style game as well, but at the end of the day, what we want is something as close to simulation as possible, while understanding that it's not going to be anything like NFL 2K5 or All Pro Football 2K8. If it's something more along the lines of an NFL Blitz or NFL Street, but with today's modern technology and with the depth that we've come to know from 2K games, I think there's definitely a lane there for a game like that that could make us happy that we have something something else to experience and play other than just Madden every single year. So don't get alarmed by the Lego game, and understand that their first big release is probably going to be a game geared more towards everybody and not just kids, because their first game back has to be a big one. It has to make a splash. It has to be something that everybody is going to like. Otherwise, a lot of hype and momentum will die very quickly. Now, if you want to know more about the type of NFL games that 2K is potentially going to be releasing very shortly, check out this video right here where I cover it in depth.